UEFA, we have to fix qualifying. This is an absolute joke, and it's not fun for the fans to watch. France beat Gibraltar 14-0. This is not a fun match for anyone involved. It doesn't help France, it doesn't help Gibraltar, and it's not entertaining for the fans because there is no competition. I mean, look at this. This is absolutely ridiculous. Mbappe hat trick. Giroud scores a bicycle kick to finish it off. And I mean, this was never a contest. It was not worth playing. And the stats make it even worse. I mean, 39 shots to 0, 20 shots on target, 73% possession, 91% pass precision. Gibraltar was never in this game, and they never could be in this game. The difference in level between these two teams is too much for them to even handle. So here's the thing. Teams like Gibraltar should not have to play against France or other big teams. And UEFA needs to fix this. The way the current qualifying is set up is you have the different groups and they all play each other in a table, and it includes all of the UEFA members. But what that means is each group has 1 to 2 genuinely good teams, several mediocre teams, and then a few absolute minnows that just get thrashed by pretty much everyone. And those games are just not fun to watch. And what happens in a lot of the groups is those 1 to 2 big teams just become absolute minnow killers and rack up 4-0, 5-0 victories against the vast majority of teams. And then they only have 2 to 3 teams that they actually have competitive games against. And it's just not entertaining for the fans. So how do we fix this? Well, my solution is to take notes from CONCACAF. And why do I think taking notes from CONCACAF would work? Because CONCACAF is another federation that has a huge difference in level between the best teams and the very, very worst teams. The very, very best teams in CONCACAF are the United States, Mexico, Canada, and Costa Rica. But the very, very worst teams are these very small island nations with tiny, tiny populations. But you rarely see the USA, Mexico, or Canada have to play against these countries in competitive fixtures. And why is this? It's because in our World Cup qualifying, we have qualifying phases for the final stages of qualifying. And the big teams only really play in the final stage qualifying. It's an octagonal, so the top 8 teams play in the final stage of qualifying. The smaller teams have to qualify to even enter that phase. And could Europe do the same thing? Yes, they absolutely could. Now, UEFA does have more members than CONCACAF. Not all that many more members. And they also have more qualifying places. So what I would suggest is that UEFA has qualifying rounds, then 2 final tables that they can have the top teams play against each other for qualification. But why would this be better? Well, for starters, the smaller teams would have a lot more competitive fixtures because they would have to compete against other smaller teams to get a chance to move on to the later rounds. So you would get to see teams like Gibraltar and San Marino actually play against each other potentially, and that gives them a chance to actually get a win maybe. But secondly, in that final stage of qualifying, we're going to get a lot more games like England, Germany, France, Italy, Spain versus Portugal. The actual big teams will have to play against each other in big games that actually mean something. And in my opinion, this is a win-win for both the teams and the fans of UEFA qualifying, because now UEFA qualifying actually has big games and big games that matter. And will it make it to where, like, in these final groups that, like, half the group qualifies? Yeah, sure, that's probably true. But at the end of the day, the other half doesn't qualify, so we're still going to get quite a few games against bigger teams that are all or nothing. They either win it or they don't get to go to the Euro or the World Cup. UEFA, take a look at CONCACAF. Their system's better than yours, and try something new.